I am the very model of a modern Major General. Life, information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England and decode the fights historical, from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I am very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations both the simple and quadratical. About polynomial theorem I am teeming with a lot of news. With many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse.
Oh, it's been going great. We're 25 years old.
Fantastic! Congratulations.
In terms of this show, we had staged it about 3 weeks or a month ago, I guess. So
Amazing.
We've been tightening all the time and hoping nothing falls apart or that you haven't forgotten to do something. And so it's going to be good for a 25th anniversary show.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about how the Gilbert and Sullivan Society has lasted 25 years. How did it install itself in the Winnipeg community?
Well, I think part of it is the fact that Gilbert and Sullivan was always done by the schools. Okay, so there was, up until, I don't know, sometime in the 60s, I suppose, most schools did a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta every year.
Okay.
And they were one of those things where you'd have this phenomenal number of kids in them. And so you've got these people that, X number of years later are saying, oh, I did that in high school, let's go see it. And of course, our aim, or at least the aim of the society, was to put these shows on with production values that you normally wouldn't see in a community group. I mean, part of it came from the fact that in 1990, in the spring of 1990, when this was formed, my father, who was music supervisor for Winnipeg schools, had just retired a year before. And I think he was prodded to do something just to keep him off the streets, And so this was it. And of course, he had strong relations with MTC as a music director in the 60s for a number of shows, with Rainbow forever, like 25 years, 30 years, whatever it was. So when it came time to put together, not the cast so much as all the tech people, that sort of it, which is the hardest thing for a community group to do.
Certainly.
He was able to go and touch people that, were the crew chief or master carpenter for MTC or guys that were now had taken over the theater department at University of Winnipeg. I mean, not to lessen anybody's involvement, but he also got Ted Correll, who was one of Canada's master costume designers, to come in. And for the first 9 productions, I think it was, every year we had a new set of costumes designed by Terrace and then executed by Harlequin Costumes.
Unbelievable.
So Harlequin would get the costumes as theirs, and we would be a renter of them, but they were designed for us. So, in that first production when both Sam and I have played Poobah at one time or another, but Ted's drawing for that production was for my costume as Poobah that first year.
Beautiful.
And so I think you had a combination of a community that was ripe for something like this, who knew the works, and because of Winnipeg's and southern Manitoba's strong choral community, things like that really had possibilities. And then if you're going to be able to present it to them at a level which is professional in quality,
right?
There's real possibilities.
Well, and what makes Gilbert and Sullivan so exciting? What is the draw? What is so brilliantly unique about these shows? What draws people continually?
Well, I mean, Sullivan, when he was writing the music, a lot of the people in England at the time were saying, oh, Sullivan, you should be writing important stuff, because he was seen as the composer of the day. He was the guy that was going to save English music and things like that. And so when he started writing these, what many would have thought sort of juvenile stories with weird endings that Gilbert was coming up with and so on, they were saying, what are you doing? But it meant that you had a really fine composer, especially a composer with a real ear for melody, that would be able to create things that really bridged a gap between the music hall type theater of the day, the popular theater, and the opera of the day. Okay, and so you had stuff that was demanding, oftentimes as demanding, at least especially in the tenor and the soprano stuff, as the opera was. And then you also had, and a lot of the baritone roles were really written for people that were not from the opera side of things. They were from the music hall side of things. They were from the theater side of things. And so you got a real nice mix there.
Right.
And of course, they're just fun. I mean, that's at the end of the day. They were meant to be entertaining, which gives you a freedom that maybe your Puccinis and Verdis and so on of the world might not have had, because they also had to be important, you know, and not just fill a theater for, you know, whatever the initial run of some of these shows were, you know, 300 performances, you know, comparable to a longer running musical of today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Well, so tell us a little bit about the cast, like talking about how demanding it is. Who do you have in the ranks this year and just whipping out all this amazing music?
Well, we've got Sam, who's a wonder. Okay, and Sam, you talk about moving back and forth, because Sam, we're doing this now, and in a month, he's also in Adam's Family for Dry Cold.
Yeah, and so, last month was just doing Canzona.
Oh, yeah,
that's right.
Or not even that, last month, like
week.
last week.
Last week.
Right. Which I got to witness, and Sam and I have sung lots together. And so it's such a joy to see you doing all of these wonderful things. But that aside.
So Sam, and then when Frederick the tenor is being played by Wes Rambo, who's a fourth-year, just graduating student from U of M, who this will be his third big role for me, I guess, because he did Nanki-Poo and Mikado, and he did Marco in Gondoliers last year.
Great.
And then somebody we've got this wonderful, I don't know, Underground Railway type thing of people that occasionally come in, usually to study with Tracy.
Right.
Okay.
A
couple of years ago, it was Kate Wood, who came from Edmonton, and she did a number of shows for us and for Dry Cold too.
Right.
And but now, I guess out of the blue, Anne-Marie McIntosh, who had done an undergrad degree at UBC and then came west to study with Tracy, did her master's, is in a post-bac now, and recently won the Met auditions in Grand Forks.
The regional,
and is a spectacular soprano.
She is.
Spectacular, you know.
I can vouch for that, too.
She's going places,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Agreed.
Really nice, good on stage. Huge voice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that girl.
huge.
Well,
And
she sang Sabinetta at Nuova. So, I mean, for those of you Strauss fans out there, I mean, this girl can sing her way around. But now let's talk about the story a little bit. Tell our audience what we can expect from these fantastic characters.
Okay, well, I'll turn that over to Sam.
Sam Plett, baritone. Okay, so we are in the studio with Reed Harrison, director, and Sam Plett, Pirate King of the Gilbert and Sullivan Society of Winnipeg's Pirates of Penzance, which is coming up this week. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Sam, tell us the story.
All right. So the story sort of focuses on Frederick. He's our heroic tenor, and he is turning 21.
Okay.
Or so he believes.
Okay.
And and we're opening with this, and he considers himself to be what he calls the slave of duty. He needs to do whatever he feels it is his duty to do. And until this point, his duty has been to serve the pirates. But because he is no longer indentured to the pirates, it is now his duty to kill them. And they really support that, just because, you know, that's his duty, and you got to support your friends and what they want to do. So
written in the stars.
Yeah. So that's Frederick's goal and what he's setting out to do. And meanwhile, the pirates, who are not particularly good at what they do, they're very friendly. They don't want to ever hurt orphans.
Oh, that's very
if they
sweet.
know that their enemies are weaker than they are, they definitely won't attack them. So they just don't get anything done. And they're kind of thinking of settling down, and they happen to come across a plethora of beautiful women and are thinking these are the ones to settle down with. Unfortunately, all of these women are the daughters of the Major General, who does not approve of pirates as sons-in-law.
I would imagine.
So a whole lot of chaos ensues. One of the biggest points being that Frederick was actually born on leap year. And the contract that binds him to the pirates does not bind him until his 21st year, but rather his 21st birthday.
Oh, loophole.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this is the cacophony that this poor boy's life has turned into. Amazing. Okay, folks, you've got to go see this. I really wish I could be there. I'm going to try and swing to a rehearsal if I can. The Gilbert and Sullivan Society of Winnipeg's Pirates of Penzance coming up April 22nd and 24th at 7:30 and the 25th Saturday at 2 and 7:30. So you can even make like a lovely afternoon of it. It should be lovely by the weekend. Tickets are $39 for adults, $15 for students, and available at www.gssw.net, or you can call the Manitoba Opera Box Office at 204-957-7842. Director Reed Harrison, Pirate King Sam Plett, thank you so much for coming and joining us. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's so great. Thanks, guys.
I am the very model of a modern Major General. I know a mythic history, King Arthur's and Sir Caradoc, answer hard